Hi, I'm Dave Pullen, and I'd like to welcome you to Portland Film Beat. Tonight, my guests are Tyler Warren, Nathan Wilson, and Barry Hunt. I'd like to talk about Barry just a little bit here, because Barry was my he was my first acting coach. He gave me my first acting job as Sergeant Rooney in the play Streamers. He is the managing artistic director of the Sewello Theater. He also teaches Meisner technique acting, and there's some Meisner technique acting coaches in Portland that learned from Barry. He teaches a class for acting for the camera, writing for the screen, and acting for film. And I have to, if you want to go to a great acting coach, I recommend you get a hold of Barry Hunt through his website, sewellotheater.org.
Yes.
Is that right? Okay, he'll bring it up later so you can see what it looks like. Anyway, Tyler, you and Barry co-directed the film called The Lower Rooms. Sorry.
Nate.
Yeah.
Nate, Tyler, you were the cinematographer. Nate, you and Barry co-directed.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. Where did you come up? Where did you guys all meet?
We met in a class that I was teaching at Portland Community College.
Okay.
Directing actors for recording, and they were great students, and I liked their style, and I knew I had this project coming up with Sewello, and so I thought that it would be a good partnership with their company Insight.
All right. So you actually met in one of your classes, and that's great.
Yeah.
Who wrote the script, if you don't mind me asking?
The script is written by Eliza Anderson.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did she take one of your classes?
No, not at all. She's probably my contemporary, at least. And,
Oh, really?
I directed a couple of her plays in the past.
Oh,
And
she's
so
written a lot of things.
she's located on the East Coast. She's quite well known. This is an award-winning play, and so she allowed us to adapt it to the screen.
Oh, okay. That's great that we know that it was actually an award-winning play. And so, what kind of camera did you use when you shot this, Tyler?
We shot on the 5D Mark III.
Right.
So that's been traditionally pretty popular in Portland for, independent films, and so.
All right. What was it like having to work with two directors?
I've worked with both these gentlemen in the past.
You didn't get any conflicting?
No, no.
Well, okay, so Barry was in charge mostly of
Okay.
the acting, directing the actors, and I was in charge of the camera direction. So
Really?
we
Okay.
split up
No,
the
that's a good
responsibility
idea.
that way. Yeah.
Because so you worked together. I mean, that's a really great idea because actually, a lot of times, when you see a lot of you hear about an actor's director or a cinematographer type director, and it gave you the ability to split up and do, because it is actually a two-person job a lot of the time, and you took care of the camera department with the cinematographer, and you took care of the actors.
Ultimately become a collaboration. My approach is very collaborative. I've co-directed more than one production, actually.
Yeah,
not film, but theater. I've often worked with directly with choreographers, et cetera. So my preference is the outcome that comes from tight collaboration. And so, crossing the lines, I think everybody crossed the lines. So it wasn't like as categorized as it even sounds.
Okay, great. Why don't you give us the basic premise of The Lower Rooms?
Sure.
Go on, Barry. You can start, and we'll let Nathan. We'll let you and give you what you tell Tyler. We'll let you finish up and what you saw from the cinematic point of view. How's that?
Okay. The Lower Rooms, we always struggle with how to describe it. In a simple way, it's a refugee who's come to Portland for rehabilitation from political torture. In this instance, he's a Tibetan refugee.
Okay.
And we cast Lobsang Tenzin in that role. And he comes and stays at the home of a local family and a single mother and her daughter. He becomes kind of involved and immersed in their household. The young daughter is extremely curious about him, but in a more invasive way under his circumstances. And so there's a lot of friction between the two.
Right.
And then eventually her life takes her into more struggles, through her boyfriend, where she's getting involved in a cult and things like this. And it causes a need for them to come together and kind of build a bridge and
This
themselves
person
stronger.
who's in the house with the girl.
Right, yes.
They bond because they both have this.
Well, he ends up needing to be her protector in a certain way, and
Okay.
and this kind of kind of mutual life circumstance or brings them together.
Wow.
And I think what we really like about the piece is that the way Eliza wrote it, it's not really a issue piece. And so we don't really get details about the issues of either one of their, we don't learn more about cults, we don't learn more about a political torture. What we find is the humanity that
Okay,
comes
so it's more
without,
about the characters and the interaction between them.
characters and relationships.
Okay.
And by leaving out the details on those issues, the audience isn't even allowed to go there,
Okay.
whether they have a particular point of view on them or not.
Nice.
So it forces them to engage in the personalities.
Great. No, I like that. Nathan, so from setting up the shots, this is kind of a dramatic piece, not kind of, it is very dramatic. We'll watch the trailer in a few minutes. What were you looking for as far as lighting and camera angles and working with the camera to bring out that kind of emotion and feel to the film?
Sure. Well, I think the biggest challenge for me was figuring out a way to direct the camera so that it stayed out of the way of the actors' performances. And to also at the same time,
sometimes.
yeah, but to also at the same time, because 90-95% of the film takes place in a house and about like 3 or 4 different rooms, to throughout the film keep it fresh and not get stale, and make sure to tailor each scene to the emotional tone of that scene, emotional needs of that scene.
Right.
So yeah, it was a big challenge to.
Well, it's nice that you had one location.
Yeah, it
People
was
don't
great.
realize moving a camera from location to location, the cost and time involved, and when you got one location, it really can make filming easier and go by quicker.
That's probably one of the big reasons why it was even made.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
I think it made it extremely
Absolutely.
affordable and a very doable film because it was so, but it creates all those challenges to make it beautiful and to make it interesting.
We're going to get to Tyler.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you have anything else?
Yeah,
Go
just
ahead.
just the challenges of we wanted to make it naturalistic, and also the time constraints because we only had maybe a month or so before we shot that we had a screenplay and stuff. So
Right.
it was figuring stuff out on the day and running through blocking and seeing that the day of when we'd shoot, and
Right.
just kind of working together, collaborating, and going, okay, what's the essence of this scene, and how do we
Bring
get
that
to
out.
that with the camera and stuff. So.
Did you arrange shot lists yourself? Did you work with Tyler? Did you work with Barry Tyler? I mean,
Yeah, my process, I normally do those
the
all
process
myself,
to come up with that.
and then I'll come up with the shot list myself, and then I'll run it by Tyler, who we've been partners for a couple years now, and so we kind of have this short form, language. It's very easy communications between us, and kind of know exactly what each other is thinking,
That's
right
great.
away. So
Coming up with shot lists
yeah,
and
it's
things
easy.
like that, because when things go wrong, it's easy to have a plan B if you got a plan A. If you don't have a plan A and you don't have any plan, it
Right.
really can make it hectic.
Yeah.
So I really respect the fact that you did the work with Tyler, and then I'm sure Barry came along in the end and said, okay, let's
for sure, yeah.
let's see what's going on here. Yeah, no, that's important.
I think
Ty-
one of the
go on.
attractions to their partnership was watching them work and realizing they had this shorthand and this kind of understanding of one another. So they were, I wouldn't call it second guessing. They understood each other, and so there was a kind of symbiotic way of
Right.
working that I found very attractive to bring into a collaborative process.
Right, and you saw that in class, I take it.
I was yeah, in some of their work, I went to some of their sites and looked at them outside of class as well.
Okay, good. So, Tyler, when it came to the camera, did you use any filters? Was there anything special, lenses that you recommended that you used? Did you use micro lenses? Did you go just with wide? Or
Well, I
did you-
mean-
did you use any longer lenses to get some for cinematic effect?
We used every lens that we had available to us. It all just really depended on the complexity of the shot and what we were trying to achieve,
Right.
like Nate talked about. And I think more importantly on this particular shoot, my job was to be the person who sort of made sure the technical side of things was on point as much as possible.
Okay.
But being able to adjust to certain circumstances that, you know, we have a shot list that's looking for this type of shot, but what can we really achieve
Right.
in this room and get the best composition? So
All right.
it was being able to like deal with those constraints of walls and colors and, you know, color casts and working with Gabe Twig, who was our electrician, and making sure that we had a good relationship and chemistry going
Getting
on,
to
so.
that, did you have a sound person? Who was the sound person or a boom person?
Yeah, Betty Alcaraz was our sound
Can you say that
person.
again,
I hope
please?
we're not butchering her name. Is that how you say it?
It may be Alcaraz. I'm not exactly sure.
Betty. Yeah.
But Betty, and
Okay.
she's a student at the AI, and she's amazing. She did a
Did a
wonderful
great
job.
job. So you actually had some other crew helping out as well there, setting up lights and stuff. Who was the main actors? Because we got that one woman spying in on you guys right there.
Oh, yeah.
When we get to that shot, she's looking in the corner. Who was that?
Well, that's Kelly Talent. She's one of the,
Oh, yeah.
the
No,
founding,
Tyler, you got to move. You're
founding
Kelly's way.
Suelu actresses. She's very accomplished, award-winning actress. She's phenomenal.
Okay.
She actually played the girl 20 years ago in the production when we were involved with the production in the past.
Right. So this has
now
been a
she's
play that's
playing-
been around for 20 years.
Yes. Yeah. and
Wow.
She's now playing the mother, and she's doing a phenomenal job. She's amazing.
What Barry won't tell you though is he played Tenzin.
Oh.
So yeah, he was trying to get away from that. But
I was going to avoid that. So that's how we.
Did you see how he whispered?
We came
No, it's all right.
familiar with the
It's okay,
project
Gary.
at that time. Kelly and I worked together on the project some 20 years ago. And then this time around, Eliza recommended that the kind of torture that she's referencing, the character was originally written, Tenzin's character was originally written as South American. And she said, unfortunately, you can look anywhere in the world. She said, consider China, consider, and then that's how it really opened up our casting. And Tenzin is an amazing performer. He's-
Yeah, from the trailer just alone. We're going to watch that in a few minutes.
Yeah, he's currently the recipient of this year's, is it a Milagro Scholarship through Robert Redford? It's a full ride 4-year scholarship to the Santa Fe University of Art and Design. He started there in September.
Wow.
So yeah, he's
been
very
hanging out with
talented.
Robert Redford, you know.
Yeah.
pretty, and it's been pretty awesome.
He's a very
Okay.
talented. He's a very talented guy. Yeah.
Right, all right.
Before you change topics, though, I did want to address. I think that it was really interesting, you know, and I'm sorry if I embarrassed you, Barry, by bringing that up. But having that sort of a director on set that was this knowledgeable about what we were doing and had a really clear vision of what was going on. It commanded a lot of regard, and it was really nice to see. Like he was emotionally attached to the project, and it gave me a lot of confidence about what we were shooting.
Very nice.
And so I just
That's
wanted to
very
say that was.
Well, my next question is for you, Barry. How'd you work with the actors? Oh, you don't want me
Yeah,
to do that?
let me say who they are. So the rest of them.
Okay.
So they, as I mentioned, Tenzin, Leipzig Tenzin, and then Kelly Talent, and then Rosie was played by Jenison Cartier, and she's a recent graduate of Portland Actors Conservatory. And then character Benny, her boyfriend, was played by Kelly Lambert. And then there's another character, very pivotal character, but a smaller role, called Helmet, and he's played by Ty McAllister.
All right. How do you work with the actors?
How do I work with the actors?
You've worked with me, but I want you to tell the audience
yeah,
how you work
exactly.
with the actors.
I have worked with you. I've said collaboration is very important to me. The Meisner technique is very important to me.
Yeah.
And our company, Suelo, has an aesthetic that is of value to us. We came together with a purpose around a kind of art making. Lorraine Barr was one of my founding members. And so our aesthetic relies so heavily on the Meisner technique. We train the actors, the 3 men in particular were trained for a year before they were cast and had a required training.
So did you have a lot of rehearsal time to do this?
Well,
beforehand?
it was more the class time, and so our rehearsal period was, from my standpoint, relatively short. Maybe for film it's long
Right.
and intensive, but we rehearsed it for maybe 2 weeks, 20, 30 hours a week for 2 weeks, and had it fully staged and Nate could come in and see. We taped out the room and we ran the whole thing from beginning to end, the
whole
way
house,
it
yeah.
might be a play. Yeah, the whole house. And so that was my opportunity to get what I want with the actors, is I want that time and not have that be confined to we're on the set, we're shooting,
Right.
and just scene by scene. I was able to look at the whole project. So that was very important to me. And then on the set, it was really great having trusting Nate and Tyler to the degree that I did, so that I could come back in and refresh those scenes with the actors and spend a lot of time with them and listen and feel where they're coming from before they're coming in, and be able to participate in their preparation. Preparation is very important to me, and the way they warm up is very important to me, and those kinds of things.
Well, you can tell from the trailer that you can see that. And a lot of times independent films, they just don't have time to actually work with actors and develop actors. And I really like the fact that you work closely with them and you work well with them.
Understanding that it's common to not have time, I make sure that I find time. I create it into the project.
It's really good. It's a really good thing you did. What was the question I had? What are a few things that you learned? Let me start with you, Nathan. What are a few things you learned making this film?
Wow, so much. This was our first feature, so there were a lot of things we had in our head, challenges that we could imagine having and coming across, but we didn't really have any kind of point of reference. So yeah, we learned a lot. Let's see, what would be one of the biggest things? Really just time management, I guess.
Okay. I bet from your point, yeah.
Yeah, because it was a small crew, and we had a lot to shoot every single day. We shot, I think, 20 days total.
Right.
And some of the scenes were, like, a lot of the scenes are very long,
right.
Big scenes.
Was the camera locked down most of the time, or did you actually use a steady cam?
No, we had to be, well, that's the thing, we had to be very choosy about what we wanted to make. Long takes and what kind of coverage we wanted to go in for. So those decisions had to be made very economical and on the spot a lot of times, depending on how late the day was going. But yeah, just being able to have that experience of honing those skills of being able to go, okay, this is what we can do today, and being able to make sure everybody in the room is on the same page and working towards that common goal and stuff. So
I bet everybody
it's a difficult skill. So.
Can agree with what Nathan said there. What we're going to do is we're going to take a few minutes now and watch the trailer from the lower rooms, and we'll be right back.
What's wrong with the truth?
I wonder which incident would you like to hear that suits you. It's difficult to know where to start. From the beginning would be ludicrous. There's no beginning. There was a hood lined with excrement placed over my head. It kept there until it occurred to me there was nothing but darkness. And there was the isolation. But you are familiar with that. That's not dramatic. There were 5 days and a night that I stood naked, chained to a pole in the middle of the yard. My own shit pouring down my legs. I hope I told you enough to satisfy you. This is your truth. Now you answer the question. What is wrong with the truth?
It's a great trailer. I mean, you can get a lot of the dramatic effect. You can tell there's the drama and the sense of the girl and what was the foreign national's name?
Tenzin.
And Tenzin. You can see the bonding that actually kind of comes together there, which is really good. One of the things I have, though, questions, it probably gets answered in the film, though, is he talks about the truth. And do they really want to know the truth? Is he talking about the truth from something that happened prior to when he came to the States? Or do we have to watch the film? You can just tell us to watch the film.
I think the way it's used in the way Tyler cut it into the trailer is kind of the broader truth. Maybe the ideas that the film gets at. When I said it's such a when she avoids issues, she gets at the humanity in the writing. I think what she's getting at is a larger truth that maybe we don't want to accept that these kinds of tortures are not isolated in foreign countries, that they can happen in Portland, that they can happen to a
Oh.
young girl, that they can happen, you know, there's what's the difference between a cult and a you know, a political coup or whatever's going on. And so I think that that you imply that the larger truths, which is I think what the movie's about,
Right.
and then in the core of it, where that piece of dialogue sits, it's her questioning him about wanting to know about him.
Okay.
And she says, like, what's wrong with the truth? Why can't I know?
Okay.
And he says, well,
Do you really want to know
you
it?
really want to know what's wrong with it.
Yeah. What do you feel are Nathan, what are the lower room strengths?
Strengths, well, definitely the acting.
Okay.
The performances are just really, really amazing. Seeing them over the course of, seeing Barry work with the actors over the course of the shooting it was great. As a, you know, director who wants to go out on his own in the future and make, you know, direct my own features
Right.
independently. You know, seeing somebody with his background and experience and being able to get those performances out of actors who had really, a few of them were very new to acting.
Right.
It was great to see.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the acting, and I hope, you know, that the look and the aesthetic of it as well. Even though the budget was tiny, we tried very hard, and I think pulled it off. You know,
Okay.
making it look very cinematic. And
So actually right now what you're probably trying to do is get some funding for post.
yeah,
Are you? Okay.
yes.
I want you to look at the camera there and tell them how you want to get some funding. I mean, this is why you're here. We want to help support you. So can they go to the Lower Rooms website and or email you if people would like to help contribute?
That's one way. So we have a website, thelowerrooms.com, that you could visit, and there's a contact page on there that you could get in touch with us through. But we also are going to have a Kickstarter campaign launch here within the next few days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
And
we'll
they'll be
have-
able to access that through the lower rooms.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's
Website
the
as
lowerroomsfilm.com is
Okay.
where all that information is.
Yeah. So we'll be asking for $15,000 to help with
Post-production,
post-production,
color
mostly
and
sound
stuff like that.
and
sound.
color.
Mhm.
Yeah. So yeah.
Well, I hope people can find it in their hearts to contribute to it.
One of the things I like to say, they stressing the performance as being of value. I get to say that their work is extremely strong from the
Sure.
camera. Gabe Twig was great with the lighting. I think Tyler did a phenomenal job of making this simple environment complex and beautiful.
We
and,
could see that in the
you know,
trailer.
Yeah, and Nate did a great job of taking, you know, as he said, facing that challenge of this really confined small space and making it, creating variety in the way it was shot.
Well, you know,
and tonally different. You know, there's more than one scene in each of the bedrooms, but the tone of the scene in each
Right.
bedroom is very different. You know, and to take that simple environment and make it carry and follow the story.
Well,
I think they both did a
you know,
phenomenal job.
I watched the trailer before the show, but since I watched it a second time, you know, one of the things that comes out at me is that there's a lot going on in you know, a number of the characters' lives from the past, but there's present issues that are going on, and do they really want to find out the truth about his past and each other's past, I guess, is what comes out, and I really like that. So is there I'm going to ask some general questions for you guys here when we've got a couple minutes left. If Barry, if you could be the assistant director for an A-list director, who would that be? I'll let you think about it. Nathan.
Let me think about it.
Me,
Yeah?
contemporary, P.T. Anderson.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Is there a reason why?
I just have been. I think his work probably got me into filmmaking.
All right.
So yeah, he's just amazing. Director.
Tyler, if you could be the cinematographer for an A-list director, who?
Jim Jarmusch.
Really?
Definitely, yeah. He's got this almost documentary feel to some of his work. Night on Earth is a great example. It's a story in the back of cars, and the way that he was able to film that. It's very similar to what we did, but it's a fascinatingly good film with great dialogue and great performances. But the cinematography stands out and you realize you're watching this in the back of a cab for 2
Okay.
hours. So.
All right. Did you think about it? Do you want to answer that
Yeah,
question?
I'll go with the Coen brothers, just because I think that they
Okay.
they work in ensemble. They're playful. They
Right.
take a great deal of risk.
All right.
And yeah, I think the way they experiment
All right.
would appeal to me.
All right. Another question for you, Barry. What A-list actor or actress or both would you like to direct?
The one whose performances consistently I appreciate the most is Sean Penn.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Good. No, he does a great job. He's won 2 Oscars. Or was it 3? No, 2. He does a great job. And Nathan, what actor and actress would you like to work with?
I don't know. It's there's so many talented,
Yeah,
very
there
talented actors out
Tyler,
there.
you got an answer, I know.
Seth Rogen.
Is that right? Okay.
Good.
It's easy to shoot a stoner film, man. Can't be that hard.
He seems like he'd be fun to work with.
I'm sure, I'm
so
just-
that's all I care about. Is it going to be fun to work with these people or not? So you know.
Great. No, those are great answers. I liked them. No, I did have another question here. Is there a kind of common type of film genre that you like, Barry, that you're drawn to more than others?
For myself,
Yeah.
definitely drama.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not gonna. I think I can make a good funny moment. This film doesn't have any, but I think I can make a good funny moment. But it's always going to sit inside a drama.
Okay. And you Nathan. Film
Drama
genre.
and film noir I'm a big fan of, and sci-fi too, actually.
Is that right? And Tyler, what film genre are you drawn to the most?
You know, I don't know if I would say documentary filmmaking. It's not really a genre, but I have a real attachment to what's happening in the here and now. And
Right.
So I'd say that if I have my choice of work, my body of work will probably be a lot of documentary work.
So is there any projects that you three have planned next? This one's kind of eating up a lot of your time, I'm sure, and still is.
Yeah.
How about this, Barry? Have
process.
you got another screenplay you've written or ready to go with?
Not ready to go with. I'm looking at doing a play next. Theater is relatively easy in comparison, and I kind of want to do that. So that's really the next thing on the table, I think.
Okay, and for you, Nathan?
I have a script in development right now, so yeah,
Right.
that'll probably be my next directing.
And Tyler, are you working on any projects? Or you
Yeah, I'm trying to finish up a documentary I've been shooting for the past 3 years, and I'm actually at the tail end of that right now.
What's the name of the documentary?
The Lie is Dead, and it is basically a documentary on drug and alcohol recovery. So
Good, all right. We've got to start wrapping up the show here. I want to thank you for paying attention and watching Portland Film Beat. I want to thank Tyler, Nathan, and especially Barry for being here. It's great having them on board. And until next time, I want to thank Christo. I want to thank my director, Ellery Nelson, and I have to thank my wife, who's the executive producer, Carol Poland. I want to thank her especially. Thank you guys all for being here. And until next time on Portland Film Beat, shoot for the silver screen.